Newest and most advanced weather satellite for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is set to blast off from Cape Canaveral pretty soon, 4:30 this afternoon.
So it is outfitted with lots of bells and whistles, all meant to help meteorologists provide a more accurate forecast for you. And we're joined now live by meteorologist Zach Covey. He is live at Cape Canaveral this morning, just a few miles away from where the launch is set.
Yeah, Zach, you're taking a look at the satellite. You're breaking it down for us in a way only CBS 12 News can show us. Zach, you're up.
In a way only CBS 12 News can show you. That is exactly right. Good morning to you, Matt and Ashley, and good morning to you at home. Yeah, we are live here at Cape Canaveral, where in just a few hours at 4:38, a 2-hour window will open and an Atlas V rocket right over there is set to blast off into space as long as everything goes to plan. Let's go ahead and bring this satellite in a way only CBS 12 News can show you and talk about some of the features, the bells and whistles on this baby right here. This is known as GOES-T. That's the name of the satellite for now, but once it's officially in orbit, it'll get the name GOES-18. It stands for basically the satellite system, the constellation system that NOAA uses. The big boy, the big instrument that all meteorologists are excited about, the ABI, the Advanced Baseline Imager. This is essentially the eye of the satellite, taking photos of Earth every minute, and during severe weather events, we can get those photos every 30 seconds, providing near real-time data of what is happening here on the ground. Also, the Geostationary Lightning Mapper, the GLM. Now, this is a first-of-its-kind instrument, first launched on GOES-R and then GOES-S, the two previous weather satellites launched in 2016 and 2018. This allows us to track rapidly intensifying and decaying storms based off of lightning. Before we ever put one of these babies on the satellite, it was all ground lightning tracking, which actually is not as, precise and typically is a bit delayed on getting that data. On top of that, we also have EXIS and SUVI. These are space weather instruments. We've got a wide variety of space weather instruments to forecast stuff that happens in our Earth's kind of solar atmosphere, well above where weather occurs. The magnetometer also measures the ionosphere, measures different things for aurora forecasting, and then CEAS is actually 4 different types of weather instruments that help measure radiation out in space for human space flight and human space travel to other celestial bodies. So this is actually a pretty big deal, not only for weather here on Earth, but also space weather as humans advance space flight to Moon, Mars, and beyond over the next several decades. Guys?
All right, Zach, here, before we lose you, I got a question for you. Once a satellite launches, how long will it take to become operational?
So that's a great question. This satellite, once it's launched, will take 2 weeks to get to its parking orbit. Now, this is the location that they'll extend all of the instruments and test it out for a period of 3 months. Now, once that testing period is complete, it's going to move and park itself over the western United States, monitoring the West Coast and the Pacific Basin. That's going to become GOES-18 satellite, and the current satellite there will be moved to an in-orbit storage, useful if we need it as a backup. So if all goes to plan, this should be operational in about 3.5 to 4 months, but we'll be getting its first actual data in about 2 weeks for its testing phase.
Zach, certainly seems windy where you are right there at the Cape right now. Could that cause any issues with the possible launch this afternoon?
As of right now, we have a 70% chance of a go. Now, the 45th Space Wing, they're the ones in charge of the weather forecast. We'll be getting a new T0 forecast from them very shortly. I will tell you the winds have been up, actually kind of a bit chilly here in Cape Canaveral. But I think as the day goes on and the temperatures begin to warm, the winds actually should relax. There is a bit of wind shear aloft, about 250 millibars, so way up there, about 40,000 feet. We'll see how that plays into it, but I think the rain is going to stay away. I think the clouds will clear out. The only concern I have today will be the winds at liftoff.
The battle to ban some provocative books in school libraries across Indian River County is being discussed at tonight's meeting.
Yeah, a group of parents now say dozens of books in the library contain what they say are pornographic texts and maybe even obscene material. School district has since conducted a district-wide audit of more than 150 of those books. Our Denise Sawyer joining us with what they found.
That is correct. Now, a total of 156 books were removed from the shelves and reviewed by a media specialist committee. And of those books, the committee recommends that 5 should be permanently removed.
I'm the biggest advocate for both of my daughters is how I would portray myself to be.
Michael Marsh is a father of 2. His little girls are students in Vero Beach, where officials are now conducting a district-wide audit of school books that some parents claim have pornographic texts and messages related to critical race theory.
God forbid that we start bringing up anything that even sounds or suggests of critical race theory, LGBTQ. This was a small group of people who do not speak for my kids.
That small group he speaks of is Moms for Liberty. It's a parent advocacy group led by Jennifer Pippin. She wants this long list of books removed because Pippin believes that they contain sexually explicit material, which is prohibited in K-12 schools, according to state law.
And the content that we cited in these books is probably things that I can't even say on this interview, but it's anal sex, it's oral sex, it's incest, pedophilia, bestiality, and you'll see at the school board meeting tonight, a lot of people are really upset about this.
But there are plenty of parents who are speaking out at tonight's school board meeting, calling for board members not to remove the books.
This has been an attack from the beginning, and I'm glad to see that this stops today in the school district of Indian River County.
CBS 12 News caught up with the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Richard Meyer. He says a committee of media specialists representing elementary, middle, and high schools were created to review these books in question. And after the full evaluation, these 5 books were deemed inappropriate.
The district realizes we need to create a procedure so that parents are in the ultimate control for their child.
Now, tonight's school board meeting does get underway at 6 o'clock. Remember, it all comes down to tonight's meeting because board members will have that deciding factor on whether these books should be permanently removed.
And the Sunshine State has been a long-time destination for snowbirds and retirees, making it home to the highest percentage of senior citizens in the country, according to the U.S. Census Bureau.
Yeah, that said, family members often help with the care of their elders, and it can be expensive, really expensive. Here's a breakdown. According to a 2021 AARP study, on average, caregivers spend 26% of their personal income on caregiving expenses. A third of caregivers dip into their personal savings to cover costs, and 12% take out a loan or borrow from family and friends. This is something our Kara Duffy's been looking into.
Yes, so Kara, depending on someone's financial situation, it can be really tough to keep up and, of course, very expensive.
Yeah, that's right. You know, from buying clothes and food to medical supplies, even making renovations to the home, the cost of caregiving really adds up. In fact, that same AARP study found that caregivers spend more than $7,200 of their own money towards it every year. It can be a big struggle, one that even forced an expert on the topic to file for bankruptcy. And this morning, she's sharing her story with us to hopefully better prepare others who may find themselves in similar situations. Amy Goyer is a family and caregiving expert for AARP. It's a topic she knows about firsthand. She became the primary caregiver for her parents after her mother suffered a stroke back in 2009. Then her father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
I think a lot of people have the idea that, you know, when someone gets old, Medicaid just takes over and they put them in a nursing home and that's that. That's not the reality.
For Amy, the reality included moving across the country to care for her parents. As their care needs grew, so did the expenses. And while Amy says her parents did have some money coming in, they found themselves in a position a lot of people can relate to.
I have an income for Medicaid, but not high enough to really be able to afford everything. A lot of people kind of fall in this middle place.
Amy says she eventually started dipping into her own savings and was racking up credit card debt to try to make ends meet. In 2019, she filed for bankruptcy.
It's a really difficult process. It's kind of humiliating, and there's a lot of why didn't I do this or that? And I honestly, I did everything I knew to do. The one thing I should have done was to have a financial advisor for myself that whole time. I had one for my parents, and I focused on my parents' situation financially and being a good steward of their funds, but I didn't focus enough on protecting myself.
Yeah, and Amy also suggests setting a realistic budget with enough cushion for unexpected expenses that may pop up, which, as we know, they all do. And also do your research, as different states, even counties, may offer certain in-home services that your loved one qualifies for. And in Amy's case, she said that the VA was especially helpful in providing benefits and assistance for her dad, who was a veteran. Now, this is just the beginning. So many different resources out there. We've posted more of them on our website, cbs12.com.